Hi guys, welcome to the Titanium Vault. I'm going to be your host today, Cassie, and I'm interviewing my great friend Nicole Espinosa today. And I just wanted to dive into her journey and give her the platform to share so many of the wonderful things that I know about her journey today. So it's a special interview for me with Nicole, and I just wanted to get a chance to just really open it up and dive into her journey as a mother, an entrepreneur, a human being, a woman, and all of that good stuff. So in case you guys haven't listened to any of our interviews with Nicole, be it RJ's or our interviews together between the three of us, or any of Nicole's, she has a ton of wonderful interviews, a ton of videos on her YouTube channel that you can go and deep dive into her journey. She is the short sales queen, and a lot of people want to watch her videos because she is the short sale queen, but we're going to take a different approach today. And there's plenty of videos and interviews out there if you are looking for her short sales. So she'll tell you where to go find those, or you can find some of them on the Titanium Vault on the YouTube channel for RJ Bates. And so I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit, Nicole, and tell everybody that might be listening for the first time a little bit about what you do and who you are, and then we'll dive in.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much, girl, for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Nicole Espinosa, like you said, my company is the Short Sale Queen, and we are nationwide, which means that we do short sales all across the country. Currently, we are in 9 markets. Like you said, we are, on YouTube. We do put a lot of content out there, but I am really excited because we get to talk about something else besides short sales today to really help, other entrepreneurs, because, we talk about this a lot. There's not a lot of people that are out there putting themselves out there and being authentic about their journey. And really, you didn't wake up successful, right? We all have a path there. So I'm excited to talk about that today.
Yes, absolutely. So I have the really amazing benefit of, having discussed with you your journey as an entrepreneur, like start to finish, and digging into those moments, that are darker, that, like you said, a lot of people don't like to get vulnerable on that end at some point. I've been there myself. My RJ's been there, Titanium's been there, where it's like, I don't really want to share the bad stuff, right?
Right.
But I think that there's a lot of power in showing that. One of my more recent favorite quotes is, sharing your scars actually helps people to not crash on avoid the rocks you crashed on, right?
Yeah.
That's paraphrasing it, but but I think that that's like just a beautiful thing. And I don't want today to be all about like sharing the dark portions of your journey, or the harder times, or the hurdles, or the challenges. Certainly we should dig into them, but I really want to shed some light on like the amazing decisions that you've made as a businesswoman in your company, the pivots that you've made. And one of my favorite things about some of the things that I know that you have done is I resonate with so much, because even in times where it's scary, you are fearless. You are fearless, and you have always, in my eyes, taken the opportunity to just really, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to do the work, and I'm going to do it with confidence. I'm going to do it with commitment, and I'm going to make the changes necessary, win, lose, or fail. If I'm not right, I'll find the right answer along the way. And that's always been one of my favorite things about you as a person, and getting to witness your journey, because I've seen you go through some major changes in your life, in your business, and it's so inspiring to watch. It's so inspiring to watch. And I just think that so many people really need to hear that and hear those points in your journey, and all the light that has been brought to you along the way because of those hard choices and those challenges and things like that, because it's really been like game changing for you, at least from like the perspective of somebody, you know, that is maybe on the outside, but I got, you know, I got a good view in there. So, you know, I do want to dig into a little bit of the personal side of stuff too.
Okay.
About, you know, what it's like to run your business with your life, because I think there are, you know, I normally don't like the questions that are like, what's it like being a single mom and running a business? You know, I normally don't like to ask like that cliche of a question to another female.
Yeah.
But I do actually want you to touch on that, because I think that you have like a very similar mentality to me. Like, that's just part of my journey and who I am. Like, that's not something that would ever stop me, you know, or anything like that. Because it does kind of change the dynamic for you in how you've had to do this. It does make it more challenging in ways, but like, you handle it like such a boss. And I know the kids are such a huge part of your why. So I guess let's just start like by digging into, you have multiple times just completely taken your business and completely flopped it on the other end, right? So
Yeah.
you've done this, what,
Twice.
twice? Twice. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so. So tell me a little bit about what led to that decision, and like either time.
Yeah. So when I started the business, I fell into real estate. Okay. So this wasn't like I woke up one day and I was inspired. Like, no, I needed a job. I started working for an agent prospecting. I'm originally from Florida. So I came here, didn't know a soul, and started, working for an REO brokerage, right? Which is a foreclosure brokerage. So when I got in, I didn't have any experience. I just needed a job. So that led to me getting hired by the broker, managing and going down that journey. So when I had decided that I want to venture out on my own, I was just naive, ambitious, and driven, all of the above, because I knew that, okay, I have the knowledge to do something. I know I was successful at this managing. I can do this on my own. And so when I started, I've always been in sales. And I say that because I wasn't a systems person. I was just, hey, I'm going to get it done. And I've always had that perspective, always. So it didn't matter when I was selling cell phones. It didn't matter, whether I was, selling things I shouldn't. Like, it was just, I'm going to get it done. So at the time I was 22 years old, and I, got into, did my first listing was a short sale. And then we go down that path, and as part of my story. And when I started realizing, like, this is what I want to highly specialize in, I just did the work. I didn't think about, am I doing this the right way? I never thought big picture of, because, when you get into business, you are trying to make money, right? You're trying to take action. And I never had that problem. I'm not the type of person where you see people are like, they're over analyzing. I am the complete opposite. I just take action. Now, whether that's a good thing or not, that's how I've lived my entire life. And it caught up to me several times. And, I am the queen of short sales, but I'm the queen of failing forward, because I don't know how to quit. I'm stubborn. And if I had any common sense, I probably should have quit a long time ago, when maybe the first round, when I couldn't pay my payroll. And I was like, how have I made so much money? This 1099 is not right. Where did all that money go? I'm negative in my bank account. And, having this hard realization that my whole journey for the first 5 years was me trying to do everything myself, and not realizing that in order to really grow, and you and RJ talk about this a lot, that how you really took your business off was collaboration, partnerships, right? But I'm young and I need money, and I'm like, I'm going to figure it out. And that actually, me having that mindset actually got in my way several times. So I had to learn the hard way. Doing short sales, I never had a problem getting business. I had a problem becoming profitable. And so when I talk about, I'm very transparent when I talk about how, your sales really mean nothing. It's your net. What are you keeping? Profit
Right.
equals success, not your numbers, right? Because at the end of the day, who the hell cares if you're selling $1 billion worth of real estate and you're making 30 grand a year,
Right.
right? your ego, you as an individual are going to get hyped up because people are like, oh, look how much you've done. Look how many deals you've done. But if you're not making money, who the hell cares? And so, of course, like anything else, being a salesperson, I was driven by, ego, not in a way of like, it's all about me, but it was more of like, hey, I'm doing it. I'm killing it. But I felt like such a fraud because I'm like, I'm broke.
Right.
So for years, it was just like, get it done. So then finally, when it got to the point where I was like, okay, what do I do? I had gotten divorced, worst time of my life, just so like I was overweight. I got a divorce. I had these young kids and I'm like, okay, what am I doing? So I had this come to Jesus where I was like, okay, if I'm either going to quit and get a job and I don't know how to quit, so I didn't, or I'm going to freaking figure this out. So I fired everybody. And because I'm all in or all out, because I'm an extremist that way, what happened, what changed my mindset was reading Scaling Up. Okay, so there's this book, Scaling Up. And if you're thinking about scaling your business, I talk about this a lot, you guys need to get it. And if someone tells you that a book changes your life, you need to go buy it, because I don't say that lightly. Because when I read that book, there's one section of the book where it said something so powerful. And it said, if you were to rehire everyone in your organization, would that person still be in that position? Would you still have them if you had started all over? And I remember evaluating everybody in my organization. I was like, no. And I always did a good job of creating a culture. I always did a great job of creating a culture that people wanted to be there and loved me out of loyalty, but I wasn't hiring intentionally for their skill set. So
Right.
as I was growing, I was always capped because I had the overhead, but I still had to do every position. And I'm not a micromanager. So I would give it to them and they would still rely on me because they didn't have the skills to take it, with the volume and the things that I was growing in the business. So I let go of everybody at once. I was like, okay, we're going to start over.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that is absolutely crazy. And one of the reasons I wanted to dive into this is because I think that a lot of people, and I don't want to turn this into like a gender thing, but I do think that it is really important to share these types of things because, I don't know. I'm the kind of person that as a woman, like, I mean, you know me, I'm like super strong willed, like I can do anything. I'm superwoman type of person as well. And I think that, I noticed that there's a lot of women who are always looking for like that security blanket.
yep.
And when going into business for themselves as entrepreneurs, they don't see as many women in those high level entrepreneurial positions, maybe in our industry anyways, or in my side of the industry. And I think that it is such a powerful example to share because they realize, one, it's okay to fail. Two, it's okay to do the hard thing and having to like restart, refresh, whatever it might be. And, I tell people this all of the time. I don't know if I ever would have taken such a huge leap in our business without RJ. Like, I didn't have that. So for me, I just am like, I can't necessarily share that I did that I took that leap. I've always had RJ. And I'm not saying I would or wouldn't have, but we don't know. I don't know. I'd like to think I would, but man, like he's just been my ultimate, he's my partner and he's my ride or die. So like, I don't have to, like, I always have somebody there. And you had to do this where you're just like, okay, I'm flipping the script. We're starting over. We're starting fresh on this thing that you have built. And you get so attached to those things that you built. And like, that is such a powerful statement, like recognizing that that is what your business needed. That is what you needed. And like, that is a very hard thing to do. Like, that is such a hard thing to do.
It was, here's the deal. I had to it was very freaking humbling, right?
Yeah.
Because in everyone else's eyes, I was successful. I mean, right. I remember that at the brokerage I was at, we were always number one in sales and whatever. And I say it like that because the brokerage wasn't that big, right? So it was like a big fish in a small pond. And my ego was always being stroked. Oh my God,
Right.
Nicole is the top producer. Hey, Nicole, whatever. And I remember being on stage and we had won a bunch of awards. And I just remember like, I don't have anything to say to these people. Like I felt like this is such a joke because this is not success. Success is not working 80 hours a week, exhausted, tired, broke, being a bad mom, not having time for myself. Like I knew that I was failing and I literally had this come to Jesus where I had to take a step back and say, okay, I can either humble myself, get over myself and do what's required to fix this, or I can just get the hell out because obviously I'm not made for this. And when I fired everyone, I mean, it was mutual. And a lot of times employers or, you know, people in that position, they feel bad because they're like, I like this person, you know, especially with small businesses, right? You're nodding your head because you get it.
Yep.
But what you're doing is you're doing your employees a disservice if you don't recognize what their, you know, capacity is. Because we talk about what is your, like, is it the right person that fits in your culture, but what's their capacity? Because they're not going to know that. You as a leader need to identify what they're capable of because people can like a job but not be good at it.
Right.
Or they can start with you and not have the ability to grow. Because as a solopreneur, like I was killing it, right? I was a top producer, whatever. But being good at your job doesn't mean you're going to be a good leader. And
Yeah.
biggest takeaway from this journey is becoming the best version of myself as a leader, but having to realize that it's an inside job because I couldn't show up as a strong, powerful leader if I didn't fix my shit. And the first step was getting over myself and realizing, okay, I'm not running the organization the right way. Like, what would it look like if I didn't come from a place of chaos, if I didn't come from a place of stress, and taking that step back? Because I could have easily been continually placated with my ego and been like, I'm great, I'm amazing, nobody knows, I'm doing awesome, and being miserable. And I just knew that's not the kind of life that I wanted. And so, yes, it was absolutely humbling.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I mean, I think when you look at that, I mean, because I've had these moments as well, you know, there's a fine balance between knowing where you are on your journey and being that person that's, you know, I mean, you know me, you know, RJ, like we're both willing to put in the work, right? Like we'll sit there and we'll work like crazy people and be like, oh, you know, it's 10 p.m. and I haven't stopped, you know, like,
I haven't
and
eaten all day. How'd that happen?
yeah, how did this whole day already go by?
Yeah.
And it's so easy to do that when you're such a driven person. But I
Yeah.
think that you have to be so intentional about making sure you're pouring into yourself in the other areas of your life. Otherwise, you're going to crash and burn. So like, I completely understand that. And you know, it's a part of the journey. I mean, I'm still working on it all the time. But the more, you know, I mean, I would get to the point where I would work until like I couldn't, like I could not work anymore. And then I'm so fulfilled and I love my business so much, but I was really unintentionally neglecting all of the other things that I love about my life. I was
Yeah.
neglecting my family, my friends, you know, like the people in my life. I was neglecting just other things that bring me joy from different areas of my life. And it sounds like such a simple thing, but like, you know, I've been an artist since I was a little kid. Um, I thought about it and I was like, when is the last time I picked up a brush or a pencil? You
Yeah.
know? And I'm like, I should do a piece because, you know, I really just need to fill, you know, the other areas of my life and things that I love because I just became all about the business.
Right.
And
So
even
easy to
that
do.
even that in and of itself made me a less capable leader.
Yeah.
Just because I was not working on my best self. I really wasn't. And actually taking the step back and realizing like how much better I am when I take the time to work out, how much more energy I have, how it balances me like in my stress levels. Because let's face it, running your own business can be very stressful. Like it's stress for me that I'm like, meh, Like, I'm like, it's cool. Like, it comes with the package, but, I may take it in stride, but if you're not doing the other things and focusing on the other areas of your life, you're just really neglecting yourself, which is neglecting your growth and ability as a leader. So that's another thing that I think is just so impressive about, you standing up and making that decision, and like ego had nothing to do with it. And you said, no, don't get me wrong. I know that you still work your behind off, but I think that that's one of the struggles that I always had. It's like, if I'm taking the time to pour into the other areas of my life, does that make, like, are people gonna look at me? Like, I literally had this internal battle, and I didn't necessarily word it this way, but I felt it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not working as hard as I should.
Well,
Which
here's
is
the deal though,
ridiculous.
like everybody's version of success is different, right? So when I get asked like, hey, so how do, I'm not having success, like what does success look like for you, right? Because everyone's going to have a different version. And for me, I am in no way saying that the grind and the hustle, like it is always applicable. Like you have to roll up your sleeves,
Yep.
but that's not a lifestyle. And when I defined, like, the most powerful question that I got asked when I was at a mastermind was, what does your perfect day look like? And it was so powerful because my actual day looked nothing like what a perfect day looked like for me. And I'm like, okay, so what do I need to do to change my lifestyle so that I can reflect that? Because what is the point of everything? What's the point of doing this business? What is the point of having this kind of freedom if you're not happy, right?
Right.
And on top of that, how can I show up as a leader for my organization, for my clients, for anybody that is, looking up to me or whatever, if I'm not putting myself first? So mentally, I can't show up. Like I can't ever be performing at a high level if I'm not taking care of myself. And that's, as a mom, as a business owner, as just a woman in general, it's so hard. It's such a hard concept for us. And this isn't a woman thing. This is just in general, like we are caretakers. And when you are a mom, everything seems more important. But guess what? The reality is that I was spending more time with my kids, but I was being a shitty mom because I was exhausted and I wasn't fully present. So even now, I work less than I ever have. And when I say that, I'm just not working 80 hours a week. I'm working maybe 50, whatever. That makes me happy. But I'm a better mom because I'm present. I've lost like 30 pounds. So my mental health is just, and it wasn't about the weight. I was overweight because I was, just eating out and not, fueling my body and just not caring, not sleeping. It was about, okay, I realized that when I was running, I felt, so my head was so clear, and it was just something mentally about putting myself first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And I showed up better. I was happier. I was more present. I could think at a higher level. And when I started hanging around these people that were millionaires, that had these well-balanced lives, they told me, they're like, oh, that's cute, your little grind, right? Where we see all those people on Facebook like, I haven't slept in 4 days, blah, blah, blah. That's cute. That's cute. They're like, we're millionaires. And by the way, this is what our life is, because we have the same amount of time, and yet we are intentional, where we are, being able to do more things on a higher level because we have our structure and our routine every day. And it was so powerful when it was like, okay, now I do it out of habit. Now it's, I was never the person that was like, I'm so excited to go work out. Like that was never a priority to me. I still don't get excited about it. I still have to drag myself sometimes to run. I haven't run all week and I'm feeling it in my body. But now every morning when I wake up, first thing I do is I'm intentional with gratitude, because I want to approach the day with, because look, I do short sales. This shit is stressful. Like people ask all the time, like, why the hell did you specialize in the hardest thing ever? I'm like, because it's a challenge, and I don't know sometimes because people are
I'm crazy. No, I'm just
right?
kidding.
So the only way that I'm going to be able to handle my kids by myself, because I don't have anyone, I don't have a partner. I have 11 people in my organization. I have 15 agents that I mentor. Like there's over 100 clients. Like there's so many parts to it, and the only way that I can handle it is if the first thing I do in the day is remind myself why I'm so blessed to do what I'm doing, and being intentional of these are the things that I want to accomplish today, after I'm putting myself first. And that was a complete game changer to me. Like down to like my routine of taking my vitamins in the morning and doing this and doing that. And to me, it was like, oh my gosh, and it worked because it changed my entire life. And even my employees were like, you changed so much this last year. Like you're so fully present. You're not as stressed out. And I'm like, I feel it inside. And crazy enough, I'm working less and yet we're 10 times more successful. Our business has changed drastically because I've been able to show up as a better leader. And that I think was the most powerful thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that it's crazy important. Like, I completely understand how you would get to that point where you're just like, okay, nope, we got like a change has to be made, right? So it didn't even feel like it was a choice to you.
Yeah.
It was like, I mean, it's like you said, you're gonna figure it out, one way or another. And so making those changes, like, and seeing how powerful they are in your life and your business, like, it's such an inspiration to other people. Like, it is such a comfort to know, like, okay, like, hey, Nicole unpacked that bag for me. I know if I can go do that, then I know it can be done. I know that it can be done. I know why it's necessary. But I think, like, also just when you actually start on that journey, I think it's just a matter of you said something that's very powerful, and it's something that we have always said too. Taking that massive imperfect action or failing forward, that's just been a really big thing. That is not my nature. And that's why I always go back to that point where, like, thank God that it is in RJ's nature. I was naturally born a little bit more of a perfectionist. So it took a lot of experience for me to get under my belt to be comfortable with that. And thank God for it, because I mean, to tell you, it really has changed in my way of thinking. It's just like, okay, well, if it doesn't work perfectly here, I'll tweak. I'll work on it. I'll adapt. We'll solve. And I'm like naturally like a puzzle solver. Like, I want to solve the riddle, right? And so that has been just like a really powerful transformation in me. And I think that that's important to say it here at this point, because I think so many people will attempt to make these changes in this personal development that makes you a better leader, that makes your business function so much more better, so much more better, so much better. It makes people, they attempt it and it doesn't work perfectly, and then they stop. I always compare it to like a health, nutrition, workout type of scenario. So many people will start and then they don't lose 30 pounds in a week. And then they're like, well, screw it, I'm going to go eat Oreos now instead. I think that, right. I am that person, where I'm just like, I did not lose 30 pounds in one day. I think I'm just going to start next week, Monday. Yeah, exactly. But I think that there is, it's a really good analogy, because it's like this in business. And it took me a lot of attempts and failing and trying to achieve that. I don't even like to call it like the work-life balance, because I think that that's just such a cliche way of putting it. I really like to think of it in my mind as more of, where am I spending my energy, and making sure that the things that I really care about are getting, focused on. And, I fall off track for sure all of the time, but overall, my life it just keeps getting better, and the opportunities get better the more and more I focus on that. So, what my day might look like, my perfect day might look like, may be very different than what your perfect day might look like. But I do think that there is so much power in making sure that you spend time, with the people and the relationships in your life outside of, like, I mean, you have a relationship with Stephanie, right? So tell everybody who Stephanie is.
So Stephanie is my operations manager, and she was actually my first hire when I let everyone go. So she really was instrumental to rebuild everything that we've done.
Right. And she's an amazing boss babe, right? So we love Stephanie. But you work with her every day,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you guys talk about work stuff all the time. But you
Yep.
also have to care about Stephanie's life. You have to take the time to say, hey, how is this going? How is that going? And it's not all about just the work, right?
Yep.
And
We're
you have,
conscious together.
yeah. You mean you are intentional about that. You're intentional about spending time and caring about the people in your life. And that goes in work and outside of work. Well, I mean, if you aren't doing that for yourself, if you're not saying, hey, I have to take some time to focus on balancing myself, whether you're a runner or you do yoga or whatever, or you're taking the time to fuel your body, right? Whatever that means, either ordering from Freshly or whatever you do, or meal planning yourself on Sundays, whatever your balance looks like, that's meant for you. Like, you have to figure that out. And I think so many people try to go replicate somebody else's,
Yep.
that maybe they just fail. But making sure that you're pouring into the people in your life, making sure you're pouring into yourself, making sure you're taking time to do something that you love, other than just, I mean, when did it become a thing, like, where you don't, like, if you're not fueling your body or moving your body every day, like, why is that even a thing that you should have to, like, pencil in? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really crazy for me.
Yeah,
Huh?
and it's easy to do though, because it's not
It
making you
is.
money. It's not, you're not seeing it as a priority because it's something that nobody's keeping you accountable for until you get sick, until you crash, until you get depressed, until you gain weight. And it's definitely something that a lot of people don't take seriously until they have to.
Until your
Um,
energy levels are zapped, or until you're this, that, or the other. So, like, for example, I don't have kids. RJ has kids, and he says to me one day, well, maybe I just want to go for a walk with my son.
yeah,
Right? Like, maybe I just want to go for a walk with my son every morning. And, when he started doing that, he was like, his son enjoyed it, and he would just talk to him and talk to him. It was just like, whatever it looks like for you, is going to be, your journey. But I think it's just so powerful. So, like, being that, I know, like, your why is huge, right? I know that there's so much that you want to do with your time on this earth, and there's so much that you want to do to inspire people that may be looking to you or looking to your journey, but it's still so personal to you. So what did it look like where, okay, you've made these changes? Like, how long did it take you to restructure your business? Because I know you went to work so hard
yeah.
on the processes and recording everything. And talk about, like, that in between space, where you said you were going from working 80 hours a week to you had to restructure it. Well, I mean, you didn't probably go from 80 hours a week to 40, 50 hours a week overnight, right? You didn't go from being zapped when you're spending time with your kids to the next day you're like super mom and spending the right amount of time that feels good for you and your family. You
Yeah.
didn't go from, I want to be more fit and have more energy and feel really good in my skin and all of this stuff to, you didn't do that overnight. So what did that part of the journey really look like? Because I think that that's the portion where people get stuck or quit.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first thing that pops in my mind when you ask me that question is I remember when I let everybody go, of course, no initial plan of, because that's probably the smart thing would have been if I was a logical thinker, I would have let
Transition.
go. I would have transitioned, hired, but being Nicole in Nicole fashion, she's like, you gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta go. And because I'm a salesperson, it's not like business slowed down, right? So I remember when I mean, to this day, because this was only a couple years ago, I remember when Stephanie called, and I didn't believe, I was like, who is this girl? She says she knows short sales or she's done them before. Like, give me a break. And she was calling to be nosy. She had been in another organization for like 13 years where she was miserable. And she's like, who's this girl, that specializes in short sales? And so when she came into my office, I remember the first thing she said was about comments about my book. And I was like, oh my God, I love her. Because she was like, you should have added this. You should have done this. I'm like, oh my God, I love her. I mean,
Yes, girl.
it was just like, oh, you speak my language. And what I loved about her was that even though we were on the same page, she really was, she's my integrator. And if you've ever read, Rocket Fueled, it talks about how you have to have a visionary and an integrator to really have a successful organization. And you don't know what you don't know. And I had no idea that that's why I couldn't move forward and really scale. It was like I was capped at these 30 to 40 listings a month. I could not get past that. And I couldn't figure it out because I'm like, okay, I can leverage myself. I know how to get the business, but why can't I grow and, kind of tip the scale? And it was because I didn't have an integrator. I was wasting so much time doing things that anything that was being replicated, I could have had a streamlined process for it. I mean, I was still writing in my notebook, and I remember the first time she said, look, you're not going to be able to handle the leads. You're going to have to put it through a system. I'm like, no, this is my notebook. I write it down. I remember, and then I'll put it in a system. Like, leave me alone. This is how I do things. And I remember the first time I was like, I got like 5 on Instagram and this and that. And I remember dropping the ball and I was like, okay, I need your help. And she really was fundamental to really changing my perspective of anything that I do on a daily basis. I need to figure out how can I put a process in place so I can get my time back? How can I consistently work on systems and processes to get my time back so that I can leverage myself and grow? And that journey was, absolutely exhausting.
Oh, girl, you don't I'm just gonna intervene right here. Like, RJ and I always are playing tug of war with that. I'm telling you, because you and RJ are very, very similar style CEOs, right?
Yeah.
I'm not like Stephanie. I'm not as good of an integrator as she is.
You're a hybrid for sure.
Yeah, I'm a really weirdo, but I'm definitely the COO. I'm definitely I could do it on a high level, but I would still want a Stephanie. You know what I'm saying? If I were running it, X amount of people in the organization, absolutely. And that tug of war in that battle, I know how hard that is for him. I see it. I know how hard it is for him. We literally had a discussion yesterday when we were trying to implement something within our dispositions, and I'm telling you, he just jumps right in there and does it, and he's like, no, you just do it, and you do it just the same way you just said. And I'm like, okay, you can keep saying this is how you do it, but you're not actually saying how to actually do it.
Right there,
you're just saying do it.
Right, but right there was my biggest problem of why I was setting up my employees to fail. Because my expectations were here, why haven't you done this? Fine, I'll do it myself. Or I was frustrated because I'm like, why aren't you guys doing it the way that I would do it? But I would talk, and like you just said, but you're not actually saying it. And so I had to, in growing the business, and it was funny because when I fired everyone, I was then traumatized. I was like, I don't want to hire anybody else. Me and Stephanie have a good thing going on. And Stephanie's like, we need help. I'm like, just suck it up a little bit longer. Let's figure this out. No, I don't want to hire anybody else. We had just such a good momentum. We were like this. And I didn't have to worry about her, and I got to do my thing. But obviously, the more I did my thing, the bigger we grew, and, we needed support. But that's what I had to do. And my biggest advice for people that are growing a business is to spend your entire day or weeks or however longer it takes documenting everything you do on a daily basis and coming up with a training. So for example, when it came to conversations, I would record all of my conversations with sales calls, because that way anybody that comes in that position can hear exactly.
Oh
to,
no. You froze.
can you hear me?
Okay, so that way everybody in that position.
I'm sorry. So I don't know what happened, but anyways, so everybody in that position could hear exactly the way I said the way I communicate everything. And it's a complete game changer. I know I have to worry, it's all there and it was all outlined. You there?
I'm there. Are you there?
I mean, it's showing up fine on my end. I didn't do
Okay,
anything.
there you are again. I don't know. It just kind of got choppy for a second.
Okay.
We'll
I
edit
can go
it,
ahead.
maybe.
Yeah, let me re-say it then, I guess.
Yeah, re-say it.
Okay. So for me, the best advice that I can give for anyone that's growing or that's trying to hire is, when you first start out as a solo, solopreneur, you like really train or replicate what you're doing, right? Because it's natural. When you're in sales, all of this is natural. I can't explain to you how I can communicate effectively and get these people on board. I don't know how to break it down. It's just a part of my personality. So what I did was when it came to the training, I recorded all my conversations. That way, the person that was stepping in, I didn't have to worry about, no, you have to say it this way, because they were being trained by me, seeing the way I break it down, the way I convert these people, the way I handle objections. And it was so powerful because I got to itemize every single thing. Now, it was a pain in the butt and it was very painful to have to record all of this stuff. But I mean, literally, anybody can quit tomorrow in my organization and I'll miss them. But they're very replaceable because we have a structure for everything. And that was a game changer, because before it would be all in someone's head, right? It would be in their email box and then we would have to chase them and only this person was handling it. And I'm like, no, we need to treat our organization as if 500 people worked here. How would you communicate if you had 499 other employees?
Right.
And that was, I mean, that way I was never, left in the dark of, hey, what are you doing? I can easily see everything that's going on so everyone can kind of support each other. And it's been incredible. I mean, I always tell my girls, I'm like, we have to over communicate. Like, I don't care if you feel stupid doing it in the beginning, you have to over communicate, because otherwise that's where balls drop and you're not really able to scale, and we won't be able to manage the volume that we're managing if we don't do that.
Right. I mean, if you're working on a team and you're beyond the solopreneur, like, I think for us, everybody like makes it really popular to use the terms, your way to a more balanced life or a freedom as an entrepreneur is to outsource and delegate, make sure you have systems and processes. And I think that there's so much that goes behind the actual power of using those things appropriately. It's something that through the years, like, we have been consistently trying to master. We have changed so many systems, so many processes, so much this, that, and the other in the pursuit.
Constantly evolving.
In the pursuit of it. And by no means do I think we're in a perfect spot on that. I think sometimes we tend to like overcomplicate it or undercomplicate it, or, finding that perfect balance. So like, it was like, I know how much work goes into, and you're right, it is painful.
It took me 3 months for every position. And I tell my girls, like, and here's the other key thing that I learned, that people talk about systems and structure, but they don't talk about accountability. So I had the system and structure, and I'm like, this is not a suggestion. I did every single one of your jobs. There's a reason why. I'm not just a business owner that decided I'm going to open up a restaurant, but I've never actually worked in a restaurant. No, I did every single one of your positions. So if I'm telling you to do it this way, there's a reason, right?
Right.
Well,
and there's only so much accountability you can build into a system.
Right. So you have to figure out what that looks like, to where they're taking ownership of their positions and that they're accountable to you, where you're not having to micromanage them, but that you're still having like a window to what they're doing. And that was the other huge thing that, like, where we crashed, where I realized, and this was 9 months ago. So, you know, building the team back up, we got it to like 140 listings or whatever. And then shit just started hitting the fan. And I remember, I think I talked to RJ too about it one time last year, and I was like in tears. And I was like, oh my God, I took a step back because I had all this freedom and I was, you know, out there trying to conquer the world or whatever, and realizing that my business was going to shit because some of the girls that were there, they weren't doing it, and they were hiding behind the work, and there was no way for me to really see it until shit hit the fan. So I took a step back and realized, okay, I need to figure out how to keep everyone accountable. That the systems are fantastic, but if you don't utilize them, they're shit. So that was a whole other, you know, the second time where I let go 2 or 3 employees, and, you know,
another huge milestone in your journey, right?
Oh my gosh. And I fired 31 sellers. 31 sellers. I lost, I mean, over 6 figures of revenue because in the very beginning, their expectations were not set. And it ended up, all the problems that we were having at closing were because the steps were not taken. And I'm like, you guys, I preach about being proactive. It's literally my tagline, and my own freaking team is not doing it.
Right.
And let me tell you, mama was not playing around. I'm like, y'all, I'm not kidding. Like 9 months ago, I was like, I've done this before. I will clean house, and it will just be me and Stephanie again. I don't give a shit, because at the end of the day, and that's the thing, I'm not afraid to go in the trenches and do the work. So I took over. Like, I started auditing every single file that we had. I started moving things along, positioning people, firing people. And that was the second major milestone for my business, because I realized, okay, I got comfortable. I built this huge business, and then I wasn't seeing what was happening behind the scenes. And thank God that I was, you know, at least intuitive enough to understand, like, I solved a lot of problems before it turned, you know, horrible. But yeah, I mean, I cleaned house, and I was like, nope, this is not going to happen. I'm not doing this. I did not work this hard to be here for you guys to crash my business because you can't do what I told you to do or what you said you would do. And
like, you had to add a layer into it, I'm sure, where you and Stephanie always had your thumb on the pulse.
Well, I think that different levels, right? So it's like me, and then Stephanie reports to me, and then everybody reports to Stephanie, but I'm still in every single department. And I mean, I'm telling you, I audited everything. What is this email? And to the point where I'm sure the girls were like on pins and needles, like, are we going to be here? And I told them, I said, I have nothing but love for you guys, but my business is 100% referral. So this is on me. This is my organization. So if, you know, my entire business was built on doing what I said I was going to do. And it's the most powerful, underwhelmed statement that people don't understand, that you cannot have real authority in everything, in anything, if people don't trust your word. And if your business is completely fueled by people trusting you, and someone in your organization is screwed, you're like, no, you guys have no idea what a big deal this is. So I am not afraid. Like me, I would talk to Stephanie every day. I was like, I'm about to let everybody go. I'm about to pull Nicole and tear this place down all over again. And I didn't. I only let 2 people go. But, you know, that was another huge thing for me, is I remember just being so, you know, just crying, like, nobody talks about this. You know, they talk about streamlining and building your system, but nobody talks about how, you know, when you let go, how do you still keep the accountability in place in your organization so that they're still doing their job, because they're still employees. Like, they could be passionate and invested and buy into your vision, but they have to have that structure there. Otherwise, it doesn't matter to them, right? They'll just get a new job, or it's maybe not important. So that is a huge fundamental piece. And, you know, I'm grateful now. Obviously, I'm every morning, 10 a.m., we have our team meeting, you know, every single, you know, day, like, they know and they're on it. So that was a huge part that I felt like I wish more people would talk about these kind of things, because that would have saved me so much heartache. And, you know, like I said, over 6 figures of freaking revenue in 30 days. And I just had to make that hard decision of like, no, we're wasting more time chasing these people. We need to go back to the basics, back to the fundamentals of what I started, and putting those in place and making sure they're being done.
Right. And I think that I mean, first of all, like that is such, that is the thing that people don't share. I have literally, and I used to be in a position where I'm just like, it is shameful when I have the realization, and this has happened more than once, where I had the realization where I was like, why am I letting this person, okay, their job is this.
Yeah.
And I am literally getting so frustrated and so wound, like it is like a ball of like in me because it's a kink in my chain. Like this is a kink, this is a problem in our business, this person's role. And I'm sitting there and I'm letting them control my mood. I'm letting them control the way my business functions because as a small business owner, I mean, we're all small business owners here. Like as a small business owner, if you have a person, it's one thing if they're, if they have an off day or an off week or they've got something going on, yeah, you should be in a position to where, things can shift and you can kind of, encompass that off day or off week within your team. But when you have a person that isn't, they basically just throw up the middle finger at any accountability, or they just are like that, it's not clicking, or it's just like they think, oh, I mean, I've had this happen so many times where there's like a huge difference because I want good morale. I want a good camaraderie within my team. We're very, 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 very team oriented people. And, I want to have good relationships, maybe not necessarily like on a personal level, like, but I care about every person that works within our organization. I care about their life. I care about their quality of life. I really, really, really do, because we're all like, let's be real here. If money didn't exist, would anybody run a business that like we do? Hell no. Nobody on earth would do it. Like we would be like, I love to grow apples. So I'm going to grow apples and I'm going to go trade those apples for bread or whatever, like it's just a very different thing. So like if money didn't exist, or if success, I mean, we would all live very different lives, there would be very different trades, and I feel like people just, the quality of their life actually matters to me. When they go home at the end of the day, I want them to not just be like, yeah, work was cool today. I want them to be like, I love that this is my job. Like, I don't want to leave my job. I want them to be grateful in the beginning of their day every day that they have a home with us, that we are a team. And so when somebody just throws that middle finger up at the accountability factor, or they're not performing, or they just don't seem to get it, it kills me, right? Like, and it bugs me. And I had to have that realization multiple times when it came to multiple people, because I really do care that much. Right. And it's like
the benefit of the doubt, but organization than else. I mean, that can be detrimental to your employees and everything. I mean, because they're setting the bar. If that's how they're acting, it's going to quickly spread where that's now the standard because you're allowing it. And so even though, you do care, because I'm the same way, but that's why, you have to put your CEO hat and understand that you're actually doing worse. And even for them, because what I found is that when people have that mentality, it's because they're miserable, but they can't make the decision to leave, right? Because they're comfortable. But every single person that I've ever let go, I've given them the option. I've told them, hey, I just don't feel like this is a good fit for you. I don't feel like you're happy because, of how you're showing up. Is this something you actually want to do? And then I let them make that decision of like, you're right. I'm not that happy. I go, you know what? Life is too short. You need to get a position that you're going to be happy and you're going to thrive in. And so that's honestly because that's just the reality. Because if they're not showing up, it's because this is not something they want to be. If someone is happy They're going the extra mile. If somebody buys into your vision and your organization, they're doing whatever it takes because they're happy and they're grateful. And that's huge to me. I want the same thing, exactly what you said. Like, I want people to love what we do, because ultimately, especially with what we do, the bank's already stressful. The transaction's stressful. You have to actually love the people that you work with. Understand why. You have to be passionate about it. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense.
Right. And like, I think that it's also so powerful, like what you said is like, it becomes like the bar that's set. So they're like lowering the bar for everybody else on the team. They're bringing the rest of the team down if they're bringing you down. And it's like, you can never let any person within a team, like, you're benched.
Yep.
You're benched. So if you want to come back and play for this team and you don't want to be benched anymore, you better show up, and you better practice an hour longer every day and work on your skills and work, you got to prove it, because at the end of the day, I never used to like the concept of everybody's replaceable. Like, I did not like that concept, because I don't want everybody. I guess I'm like like idealist when it comes to that. I wish everybody wasn't replaceable. Like, I wish I was at that point where I'm just like, nobody is replaceable and everything is perfect. But it's just not reality.
CEO, you can't ever be in a position where everybody is not replaceable. You're the one that gets screwed. You're the one that gets on one person. But the environment should be that everyone's not replaceable. Everyone should be valued and whatever. But honestly, it's kind of gotten to the point where it's like, I love you. I'm going to go the extra mile for you. I care about you as a person in my organization. Everyone knows that. You talk to any of my employees, I go above and beyond to treat them, like royalty. But at the same time, I'm cool, but we got to do the job. And I told them that 9 months ago. I said, look, if we don't make a change, none of us will be here.
Right.
Like this, I am down. Like I said, I'm cool, everything. But if we don't get the job, none of us eat. So we have to all be on the same page that these things have to be done no matter what. It doesn't matter. Like nothing else matters. And if you don't have the ability to do it, you're not in the right position. So it's not personal. It's for everyone. I told him, I said, I don't eat, you don't eat, we don't keep the lights on, our clients don't get help. So bigger picture, it's not insensitive to say that everyone's replaceable. It's just, that's why I approach it of, hey, you're not happy, life is too short. Go do something that makes you happy. You just don't have a place here. Wish you the best, no problem.
This just isn't the right spot for you. And
exactly. It doesn't have to be ugly.
Right.
It's not like they're being malicious about it. They're just, of course some are, but in all of my cases, they just weren't a good fit. And they found out, 6 months down the road. Now we don't have a revolving door. We've had people that have done this for years. I mean, even my first office manager that I let go, I was in tears letting her go, because I'm like, you've been with me from day one, but I just grew to the point where she couldn't grow with me and she was no longer passionate about it. And it was great that we, went our separate ways. And sometimes as a business owner, you have to make that call, even if it's emotional, even if they've been the most loyal person to you, because it's not only for you, it's for them too. It's selfish to keep them in a position because you feel bad,
Right.
So when you look at it that way, it's a completely different perspective.
Right. And I think that all of these things that we're talking about, I mean, they're such huge factors in, I think, your everyday, right, as a business owner. They play such huge factor on your mental space, your energy, and everything like that. And I think that those are just such key components to being a leader. And I mean, I know that everybody is not like necessarily like us, where they're in the constant pursuit of living their greatest life and living like their greatest self. Like sometimes it's really, really hard to recognize, the greatest version of me right now is like rest. So the greatest version of me right now is this person doesn't fit in the picture. Like they're taking and they're pulling the rest of the team down and like getting them to realize that, or I need to add this component into my business, or I need to take a time out and I need to go, you know, take a long weekend and go to the coast and jump on a boat and see some of the world. I think that it's not necessarily about achieving balance, right? And and this is one of the things I really want to hear from you, because I know we could probably talk for ages and ages, but this is one of the things I really want to hear from you in all of this. And, well, maybe first you should tell people what your big whys are, in your own words, rather than it being in my words.
So my big why has definitely evolved. In the beginning, it was survival, like just complete honesty, right? I was young, trying to survive. Even when I was married, I was still, the head of household as far as income. And it's really evolved where I am so passionate about, going back to your point earlier, of there's not many people that look like us at the top. And I'm so passionate about showing other women what's possible, because I didn't have that. I'm in rooms, and not only was I young, not only was I just, ignorant, but I looked like me. And there was, I'd walk into rooms and men would be like, oh, you're cute. Look, you little boss babe. Okay, whatever, but they wouldn't take me seriously. And so I see so many women that are just these phenomenal leaders, but they're not confident to speak up and to put themselves out there, whether it be social media, to a community or whatever. And I'm so tired of it. I want to see more women win. I want to see more women, utilize their value and their talents and showcase that, because that way it encourages other women to keep going. We're all in different phases of life, and I've been there. And that's why I'm so transparent about my failures. I get it. But, had I seen somebody like me, I know that mentally it would have been a lot easier to understand that this is normal. It would have been a much easier journey and way more comforting to know that I'm not alone in this, and that, I would have had other support, and really breaking down those stereotypes where women are catty and women are, just trying to compete instead of collaborate. And you don't ever see men do that, right? What do men do? They're constantly collaborating to grow. Why don't we have that more in our community? You want to level up, you want to see more women at the top, stop trying to see other women as your competition, or you're jealous or whatever. Start being inspired by their success so that you can step up.
And I think also of uplifting each other. And yes. I hate to take away, because I know you have more to your why, but I'm going to interject again, because this is something that years and years and years and years ago, I don't even know how many years, RJ and we were supposed to name somebody that we looked up to, and it was supposed to be like somebody famous, right? And who is, kind of like your idol, but not idol, but who's the person you look most up to? And I was literally going through lists and lists of people in my head, and all these men kept popping up into my head. Who is the person that I look up to most in business? And I'm like, well, he's a man. Well, he's a man. Well, and I looked at RJ and I was like, bro, I cannot. I guess Ellen is my answer. And not to take anything away from Ellen. She's had an amazing career. She does amazing things with her time on this planet. And I'm not trying to take anything away from her, but I was just like, Ellen is not I am not her avatar. You know what I'm saying? It was so crazy to me that, that's just a whole different level of business. And it was so crazy to me that I started thinking about, when growing up, I started thinking about, well, who are the women that I knew that owned businesses? Now let me think about this.
Right.
I knew one.
Yeah.
I knew one woman growing up that owned a business. One.
And that's what fuels me, honestly. When I'm speaking on stage, maybe one or two other people in the lineup. And it's not anyone's fault, except the fact that what you just said, you can't even think of anybody. So I want to play my part And where women, and I get this daily, weekly, where people are like, oh my God, I look up to you so much because I'm seeing what's possible through you. And you're being so honest. Like, oh my God, you're sharing it. I'm like, yes, because no one else is. And I want to encourage, even if there are women here that are listening to this podcast, like, you have value. You have to speak up. You have, and it's selfish not to. It really is. It's selfish not to share your gifts and the impact that you're making, because you have no idea who's paying attention. You have no idea who's wanting to quit and has the ability to change so many and impact so many people, but they can't get over themselves because they're scared, and they don't see anyone else doing it. And so
But I think there's a lot of women out there too, like they may not resonate with us, right? They may not want to be like an entrepreneur. And so like this is like one of the things on my journey, because I in my head when I had that moment, I really was like, I kind of want to do like a summer internship program for girls, either coming out of college or coming out of high school, and you know,
yeah,
you're at milestones in your life where you're getting integrated into like the real world and what it's like. And you know, I think it's just to be, not even like inspire them that they have value. I mean, hopefully everybody knows that they have value on this planet, but
right,
it's just, for me, it's also to say like your calling is worth pursuit.
right.
Your calling is worth pursuit. And because I do think that a lot of, you know, like, not to sound cliche, but there are women out there that would never in a million years want to run a business. Like their happy spot is being, is being, you know, something, you know, that may not be a good fit for you and I, but like, that's okay. And that's beautiful. And that is, you know, I think that's just like one of the biggest things for me, is to inspire them that their voice actually matters and that their leadership skills are so important in this world. Like, because you can not be an entrepreneur or a business owner or whatever, but your leadership skills and that value that you bring and your voice are so important. You know, I honestly did not know when I was younger that I wanted to be a business owner. So that's why I had to think back. I didn't know I was gonna go into the medical field.
I wanted to be a singer and I can't even sing, so.
Lip sync, girl, come on. No, but
But you know, going back to my why, I mean, the other part that I'm passionate about is showing my daughter that, you know, even though we're in a world where people are constantly trying to dim who you are as, they're constantly trying to dim who you are as an individual. I mean, there's so many people that the more present I am on social media, they're just comments and this and that, and that's fine. But understanding that that has nothing to do with you, that's them, right? I know my value, I know what my purpose is, and I want to show my daughter that she can do whatever she wants. She can do whatever she wants. There are no limits. And I've had to break through so many barriers in just the last 10 years of, who are you to show up in this room? Like, what are you doing here? Are you somebody's wife, or were you invited because you're pretty? Are you sleeping with someone? Is that why you're here? Like, let's see what this girl has to say. And my daughter, she's not even going to experience that, because she's going to see by my example, like, what are you talking about? My mom did it. Like, my mom does it. Of course I can. I don't have a college
there's
education.
no power struggle here.
No, yeah. My daughter already thinks she's there and she's 5.
Yeah, I know. She's made for this.
A whole other podcast. So the whole strong-willed, that's working. That's working. But I love it, though. I love it. I love her tenacity. I love that even at such a young age, she just doesn't even see it. She doesn't even see, like, maybe this isn't possible. She just tells me, like, I'm going to do what you do, but better. And I'm like, you do it, baby girl. But also, have you seen what I do? Like, forget you.
Are you sure you don't want to be a singer? Because if you do, that's okay too.
and just understanding that, because that's something that, you know, we're told, right? Like, growing up in my generation, if you didn't have a college degree, if you didn't, you know, do a certain thing, you were never going to be successful. This is just the only path to success. And I knew at such a young age, like, this isn't what I want to do. Like, I know I'm ambitious. I know I can sell. I know what I can do in my skill set. I just didn't know, you know, which avenue I was going to take. I just kind of threw myself into it. And that's something that I'm so excited, you know, that my daughter is growing up and seeing by my actions. And that's what fuels me. Every time somebody calls me and tells me how much my one video that I felt stupid talking about impacted them, like, it keeps me going, because it gives me that, it fuels, like, even having these conversations of understanding that it's bigger than me. It's so much bigger than me. And you know what? When your why is bigger than you, then you don't care if your hair looks freaking perfect. You don't care if you said a million times, because as long as your message can resonate with other people because you're speaking your truth, that's what matters.
Right.
It's okay. That's what matters. We're in a world where people are like, you have to look perfect. You have to have all this money. No, like, I'm speaking my truth and I'm being authentic, whether it's cute, whether it's cool, whether it's whatever. And that's something that to me is extremely, what's really helped my brand too, and why I resonate with so many people because of that. So,
no, I think no, that's exactly what I want to hear. Like, I think that's the whole point of this entire interview, because, like, it's not like we haven't interviewed you before. It's not like people haven't seen us talk together. It's not like any of that, but I just think that that message in and of itself is so important, and sharing that part of your journey is so important, and how much it has changed every level and every facet and every layer of your business and your life. I think that is, like, that's so clutch. It's so key. You know, a lot of times people, you know, make commentary about how much, I'm sure you get it too, how much we share. You know, they think that it's maybe about, and I'm not even the one that shares the most. I'm really not. But obviously we make time for it in our business, and there's a reason for that. And it's not impact because of ego. It's because we are being called. Like, we are being called to do this. We are being called to share it, because our intentions are pure, because our why is pure, because it is bigger than just us. It's because of so many reasons beyond. I think that it is so powerful for us in our life that we can't help but share it. We cannot help but share this journey that we have been on. And it's so much bigger. And a lot of people, you know, they see that about titanium and they just love it, right? And you know, once we kind of started letting out some of our challenges along the way out, like, people just eat it up, and I'm like, it's because they really, really go, oh, okay, it's not just me, you know, like, we're not all perfect, we don't all, you know, like, whatever. And for it to help people, it's like, heck yeah, I crashed into that rock, and now you can navigate around it, right? And so I think that that's huge. I think that's a huge portion of why we share, but I think it's also just knowing the power that we have felt to really make our life and structure our life and structure our business and make this, you know, just fuel what we're here for.
Right.
Like, that power is so many people I know that don't do these things, and they may not want to, but I know what a huge impact that it's had on our life. And so it's, like, worth it to share for those people who are where we were, you know, in 2012 or 2011 or whatever, you know, like, well, can I really do this thing? Well, how do I want to, you know, that's the point of it all. And, you know, getting specific, a lot of women ask me, especially, you know, I have a very, very, very powerful man partner. And a lot of women are like, Cassie, we really need you to talk more about this. You know, we need women leaders to stand up and scream it from the mountaintops, right? And I'm always a little bit hesitant, you know, because that is putting, like, such a huge spotlight on just something that I have never really taken the time to focus on. I
Right.
have never in my journey sat there and said, and because I'm a woman, I ran up against this challenge or this barrier. Like it was like I completely refused to even recognize it when it did happen. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying I refused to recognize it and I just plow through that barrier, right?
Mhm.
So it is something that you know, I am inspired to share more on, because I did have that moment years and years ago, and it's always been, stuck in my side that I didn't really have a lot of women to look up to that are in my shoes where I am now. I didn't have that to look up to. So I'm really inspired to have those moments and share that. And like, I just appreciate you so much for being called to do it, for your daughter and for other women out there who have to break down those barriers, no matter how they go about it. Because again, I was the kind of person that was like, that's not even a thing. Here, I'm gonna go do my thing, you know?
But
And
you can't let it stop you, but a lot of women do, for sure.
yeah. I mean, it did actually. I didn't even recognize a lot of it until it's a thing in hindsight,
Yeah.
because like it just, I'm not the kind of person to be stopped from doing what I know I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
Um, but I think it's a really important time in history, um, for us to lead by example in
Yeah.
that regard. And I just never really wanted it to turn into a thing where I'm like, you know, I don't ever want to take away from like how powerful my partnership with a non-female is, because that partnership is so much of my journey, and I would never take away from that. And so it came to me organizing that in my brain, like, I can do both. Like I can sit there and lead by example, and I can sit there and be this amazing, powerful, female, that it doesn't take away from it that, I have a male partner type of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that it's so important to like talk about how we've navigated those things in the past. And so I love that part of your why. I love that, you have broken down so many barriers. I love that you have completely changed and restructured your entire way of life as a human, as a woman, as a business owner, as a mother. You have molded and remolded in the constant pursuit of greatness in this journey that you're on. And so I just appreciate you sharing that so much. Like I could literally go, did you see Pace Morby? Did you see Pace Morby went live for 16 hours straight yesterday?
16,
16 hours straight.
like 1-6.
One
Oh
six.
my gosh, no, we can't do that.
I don't even think that we could
I don't
talk
even
that
think
long,
I
and I
could.
could talk to you forever.
Yeah, I
It's
don't know.
bananas, right? So
I can't
I
even
just think it's
feel that.
absolutely crazy. Yeah, no, I mean, he's like that is a marathon. Like
No,
straight,
literally, they take breaks. Like,
I don't
you still need to
know.
feed me. I mean, I just
Surely,
took the whole block
surely
to go live. Holy cow, that's
he
insane.
ate, surely he ate on camera. And then of course, RJ, he's like, "Oh, hey, I'm gonna see if that's a thing that we should do." Like,
No,
no,
no.
sir. Like, but we'd have at least like, okay, I'm gonna give you a break now. You give me a break
And
now.
rotate. Just keep the camera on the whole time.
Right, yeah. I mean, surely he had to take potty breaks. But but no, I really could talk to you forever about this. But I mean, I appreciate you so much sharing like the things that are behind the scenes that you're passionate about, that, sharing the moves you've made that have made such an impact on you as a leader and a business owner, and like a leader in your own life. um I think that I'm kind of a personal development junkie.
Mhm.
So I'm always, reflecting and trying to grow as a human being. And I think that those things are so important to share to other entrepreneurs and other women, because my goodness, like otherwise this journey can have some rocky roads.
Yeah.
But it's so worth it. And I know that that's why you share, and I know that that's why that we share these things too. And it's one of the main reasons I was like, I just want to get Nicole on here, and I just want her to spit about like these points in her journey, because they're challenges that would make the strong, wobble. They're, they really are. Flipping your whole business on its head multiple times. And just the power in that statement, like you recognizing that big of a change needing to be made in your business, and then just saying, I'm going to take the bull by the horns and I'm going to make this happen, and then doing it. It's just such an inspiration. And I've also loved what you've done, to achieve what you've poured into yourself, and making sure that you made the changes in your personal life and your personal development. I mean, you are constantly, like, every time I talk to you, you're just like, nope, I needed to do this, this, and this. And like, I know how hard you work, and I'm just like, go do it, girl. Like, go crazy, go for a run, go for girls night, go. I can't remember where you went. Like, where's the last time you went? And you were like, I'm on a boat.
Yeah. No, I went to, in January, I went to California, to Laguna Beach by myself.
Yeah.
And first time I ever went anywhere by myself. I was so inspired with this group on Facebook of women that traveled alone. And I was like, what? That's crazy. Who am I going to talk to? And it was the most empowering trip. I had the most impactful conversations that I never would have had if I wasn't alone. And I'm always trying to, how can I consistently grow as a leader and as an individual, between self-development, personal development, or whatever. And that was huge for me, because I couldn't even imagine. I'm such an extrovert and social, butterfly. And I'm like, I'll go crazy by myself. This is, whatever. And it was so powerful, and I needed it so much. But yeah, that was definitely an adventure.
Yeah, I mean,
now I'm just like, where can I go? I'm dying to get out of Dallas.
Right, yeah, like, of course, well, now COVID. Yeah. But so no, like, one, you got to share that Facebook group for me, because that would be like a monumental thing for me too. But you like have done so many other things like that we didn't even touch on. Like, you're like, I'm gonna jump out of a plane because I'm scared I'm scared to do it, and then never again, but you did it. I mean,
that makes sense, to jump out of a plane, right? Oh.
Right. I mean, you took on what was the mastermind you took on last year? Like, what was it? It wasn't even a mastermind, really. It was like,
oh my God, that was honestly the key fundamental thing for me. It was called Shield Maiden, and it was the most intense thing. So my whole thing is, I know we've been going on for a while, but I'll say this quickly. Like, my brother passed away in 2016, and I promised myself, like, I woke up, right, and I was like, okay, what am I doing in my life? Right? Like, you have somebody so close to you that you grew up with and that you're really close with, and you're like, okay, what am I doing? Like, is this really life? Because of tomorrow, you realize how short life is. Like, is this how I want to go out, right? And that was really the start of this journey of like, I'm gonna do things that if tomorrow something happens to me, that I'm not gonna live a life of regret. And I was too young to be that defeated and miserable. And so I changed everything, got a divorce, changed my business, everything. And I promised myself that I was gonna consistently make myself uncomfortable. And I was gonna face the things that terrified me, because I wanted to do it. Like, there were so many things I wanted to do, but I was just so scared to do. And, when you start doing that, like, and honestly, it started with putting myself out there. I was so scared to do videos. I was like, whoa, I don't have anything to say. What's my name? What? And people look at me now and they're like, you speak so well. And I was like, oh, if you met me 8 years ago, you would have been like, is that the same person? She's not even close to the same person that I resonate with. And it's been a journey. I mean, it really has. And I'm still evolving. I'm very far from getting anywhere that I want to be, but I am grateful that I have done that, because being in the most uncomfortable situations mentally, I'm like, oh my God, I did it. Like, and I've grown so much and I've evolved so much that I see what's possible now. And I can tell you as an individual, you can do this, you can do this. And you're going to hear my words and you're going to be like, okay. But when you do it, you're like, oh my God, in your
What else
mind,
can I do?
that barrier is now broken. And you're like, hey, I just did this crazy thing. Of course I can do that. And now you don't see the limits, because what terrified you and your perspective creates your possibilities. So if your perspective is that this is where the line is, you're not going to think it's possible. But once you break that, everything's possible. And that has been, it's been nuts, and everyone thinks I'm crazy, but
I don't think you're crazy at all, but like, actually, I mean, it resonates so much with me. Like, my brother passed away. And I also had, I mean, it was like 10 years earlier. I also had that moment too. Like, that resonates so much with me. And I wouldn't necessarily have ever worded it that same way, where like, I'm going to make myself uncomfortable, excuse me. But it was more of it. I felt very, 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 very like a force in my life came, and I was like, I am not going to waste a moment of my time on this earth. I am going to live a great and plentiful and joyful and happy, impactful life while I am on this planet, while I have my time. Because when you're that young and you are hit with mortality for the first time from somebody like that is that close to you, and it's just like, dude, it could be anytime, any day for any of us. And when that hits that close to home, yeah, I mean, like, that was my experience as well. And it just propelled me. It propelled me in life. I mean, after a bit of time of me like grieving, it became like that factor where it's like, and what's crazy about it is like, my brother was born that way, right? Like, he just did what he wanted, when he wanted, how he wanted. He knew what he wanted to do, and he was just like always this bright light in the world. And I'm like, man, when that happened to me, it wasn't a factor of getting uncomfortable, but it was a factor of, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I'm gonna do what I feel called to do. And I'm gonna, not. My big thing is like, I'm not gonna waste my time. I'm not gonna waste my time while I'm here. I'm gonna go after it. Why wouldn't I? That's what I'm here for. I'm not here to sit quiet and live in fear. And I am always in that constant pursuit of my best life. And I want people who are around me to feed off of that energy, like, I want to have that kind of impact. So, like, for me, it doesn't necessarily matter if it's man, woman, child. Like, I want that to be contagious. So I definitely hear you and resonate with that like so much. And hopefully everybody that's listened to this interview this far, feeds off of that. And I thank you, Nicole, for your journey and for sharing it here today. Tell everybody, I'll wrap it up because, we don't want to pull a pace. I'll wrap it up. So, but tell everybody how they can find you, where the best places, Insta, YouTube, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. So Instagram is the Nicole Espinosa. And then the Short Sale Queen on YouTube. And then you can always go to our website, thessqueen.com.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you so much for sharing today. And I hope everybody has a wonderful time as we wrap up this shelter-in-place business, and that we all get out there and, and take the world by the horns soon. Until then, we can just do it on video.
Thanks for having me, girl.
All right, babes. I'll talk to you later.